There was a time when one image defined the horrors of war more than bombs or tanks. Long queues. Not outside shopping malls, not outside movie theaters, but outside bakeries. People waiting for a loaf of bread. From Britain during the Second World War to the Soviet Union as Nazi Germany pushed east, food rationing became the unmistakable sign that war had reached ordinary homes. And history has taught us one important lesson. When people begin standing in endless queues for essential supplies, the battlefield is no longer confined to the front lines. It has reached home. Now fast forward to 2026. Those queues have returned. Only this time they are not for bread, they are for petrol. And they are not in Ukraine, they are in Russia. And mind you, petrol is no longer a luxury. It has become a necessity of daily life. The world's second largest exporter of crude oil, a country that built its power on energy, is now witnessing people waiting in long queues for fuel. For many Russians, the war is no longer something happening hundreds of kilometers away. It is beginning to interrupt everyday life. So how did an energy superpower reach this point of doom? And are these fuel queues revealing a deeper truth about Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine? Let's dig deep into reality. Russia is one of the world's energy giants. It is the second largest exporter of crude oil and the third largest exporter of refined petroleum products. For decades, oil has powered not just Russia's economy but also its military ambitions and geopolitical influence. Which is why the latest reports are so striking. Russia has reportedly been forced to import petrol to stabilize domestic supplies, not because it has run out of crude oil. The irony is hard to miss. Russia still has plenty of oil. What it is losing is the ability to turn that crude into usable fuel. As Ukrainian drones repeatedly strike Russian refineries, Moscow is finding it increasingly difficult to produce the petrol, diesel and jet fuel needed to keep its tanks, trucks, aircraft, industries and ultimately its war machine running. Ukraine has gradually changed the way it fights this war. Instead of matching Russia tank for tank, Kiev has begun targeting what keeps Russia's military running: its energy infrastructure. Using long-range drones, Ukraine has repeatedly struck oil refineries, fuel depots and storage facilities deep inside Russian territory. Even places once considered beyond Kiev's reach, including areas near St. Petersburg, the hometown of Vladimir Putin. The objective is simple. If fuel powers Russia's military, then fuel itself becomes a battlefield. And that strategy is beginning to leave visible scars. Across parts of Russia, long queues have formed outside petrol stations. And according to reports, as many as 1 in 5 taxi drivers in some regions have temporarily stopped working, because securing fuel has become increasingly difficult. For older generations, such scenes revive memories of shortages during the Soviet era. For younger generations, it is something they have never experienced before. And that is perhaps the biggest shift of all. The war is beginning to feel personal. Fuel shortages are only one part of the story. The war itself tells even a bigger one. When Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022, many expected a swift military victory. Instead, the conflict has stretched into one of the longest and most expensive campaigns in modern Russian history. For Russia, this war has now lasted longer than its participation in the First World War and longer than the Soviet Union's campaign against Nazi Germany during the Second World War. Yet despite committing enormous military resources, Moscow has still not secured full control over the Donbas region, the very territory it has claimed since 2014. Meanwhile, Ukraine has expanded the battlefield. Crimea, annexed by Russia in 2014, has become one of Kiev's most important military targets. Bridges, air bases, naval assets, supply routes, One by one, Ukraine has attempted to weaken Russia's hold over what Putin considers the crown jewel of his presidency. Because Crimea is more than a territory. For Kremlin, it represents prestige, national pride, and political legitimacy. That is why losing it would be far more than a military setback. But there is another challenge quietly emerging. Recruitment and heavy casualties combined with a prolonged conflict have made it increasingly difficult for the Putin administration to attract new soldiers. The war that was expected to last weeks now demands more troops, more money, more equipment, and increasingly more fuel. For years, Russia projected itself as a symbol of military strength, energy dominance, and economic resilience. But those queues outside petrol stations tell a different story. Not because Russia has run out of oil, but because modern wars are no longer decided only by tanks and missiles. They are decided by supply chains, infrastructure, economic endurance, and the willingness of ordinary people to bear the burden. Ukraine appears to have recognized that, which is why instead of focusing only on Russia's soldiers, it has increasingly targeted the systems that keep those soldiers moving. And perhaps that is why the images of Russians waiting patiently for fuel feel so powerful, because they echo something history has shown us before. Wars don't begin to change nations only when bombs fall. They begin to change nations when everyday life is disrupted, when people wait in queues, when shortages become routine, when the cost of conflict reaches ordinary families. The bread queues of the 20th century became symbols of nations at war. Could the petrol queues of Russia become the defining image of this conflict? That is the question Kremlin now faces. And that's a wrap from my side. Thank you so much for watching, and I am Tamanna Akhtar signing off for Times Now Digital. Until next time, take care and keep watching this page for more such videos.